Okay. I'm Dave Starbuck, and I'd like to welcome everybody to this. This is our tenth. We're hitting 10. We're hitting double digits. Our 10th monthly get together, and I think that's actually quite an accomplishment. Um, we missed January. It would have been January the 4th, and we sort of thought that was a bit too close to holidays and everything. But we've been meeting here once a month for 10 months now. In November, we'll hit our anniversary. I think we should have a little cake, a celebration. I don't know if the library lets us bring in cake and the soft drinks, but they do. Oh, why? Okay. Um, so the topic tonight is the Ring of Fire, critical minerals, the two Bill-5s, and war preparations. Um, we've been talking a lot about Sudbury nickel, um, and I don't know if you saw this leaflet we put out for this meeting tonight, but it talks about well, it goes through, it sums up everything we talked about in the last 10 months. Um, how nickel, Sudbury is synonymous with nickel, and nickel is synonymous with war. That nickel is still a vital war material. That the raw materials used in the U.S. armaments must be what they call DFARS and RTAR compliant. But went through the supply chain, mining, smelting, and refining in Canada and Norway, stainless steel, nickel alloying, and nickel shape production by 4 U.S. companies, manufacture of the weapons parts and components mainly by the big U.S. companies, and for the final assembly and testing by one of the major U.S. armaments manufacturers. Uh, and we show that whether it's producing a jet engine for these F-35s and F-15s, or uh, manufacturing tanks, the Abrams tank in the U.S., or any other piece of military equipment. It was basically that same four-step process. The players may change slightly, but the process was the same.
Let's start with introductions. Introductions.
Introductions. Okay, do you want to do introduction? I said I was Dave Starbuck.
Howard Weidman. Spider Allen. Bob Argue. Adnan. And for those on Zoom.
Oh, it's Breck.
Damon and Christine.
They're muted. Yeah, she's muted. Yeah.
And I'm Christine.
Hello, Christine.
Hi.
Anyway, what we want to do today is to turn our attention to the development of the Ring of Fire mineral discovery in the James Bay lowlands of Northern Ontario. The Ring of Fire contains chromium, nickel, cobalt, rare earths, and other critical minerals. These minerals are said to be needed for electric battery production and similar uses, but they fill a huge hole in the U.S. critical war materials. Not only will more nickel be supplied to the U.S. war machine, but a large amount of chromium essential for stainless steel. No commercially viable source of chromium exists in the Americas. Following elections this spring, the Ontario government and the federal government introduced Bill-5 and Bill C-5, which facilitate the development of the Ring of Fire by creating special economic zones where the government can dictate which laws apply and which laws don't. This affects indigenous rights, democratic rights, labor rights, and environmental protections. Today, I don't know if you heard, Carney made an announcement along the same lines. He announced five of these major projects which are going to get facilitated by Bill C-5. I know in BC, a liquefied natural gas terminal in Saskatchewan and BC mining project, the Port of Montreal.
Here, right here. So phase 2 of LNG, Canada and Kitimat, BC. Darlington New Nuclear Project in Clarington.
Modular reactors.
The Contra Sword Terminal Container Project to expand the Port of Montreal. The McIlvenna Bay Foreign Copper Mine Project in Saskatchewan, and the expansion of the Red Chris Mine in northwestern BC.
Yeah, one I think that we should pay attention to is these small modular nuclear reactors that they're going to set up all across northern Ontario, especially to power the Ring of Fire, though they don't say that. It's something I think we need to look into. I'm aware of it, but it's like one of those like there's 1,001 things that you have to be aware of, and a lot get lost.
I've been following that over the last couple of years. So when it comes up, we can talk about that too.
Yeah, well, you're an expert on that topic now.
Expert, but
we'll get you going.
there are certain things need to be said about it. Yeah.
Anyway, the Ring of Fire is this major mineral discovery in the James Bay lowlands of northern Ontario. There's a map here. Christine and Damon and Brett, can you see the map on the screen?
Yeah, that's good.
Can they see it?
They can.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so the Ring of Fire is a fairly big area. It's about
Go ahead.
okay, it says it's about 5,000 square miles, but square kilometers, but it looks much bigger on that map. The key thing to notice is it's about 450 kilometers to any other town or railroad or road. A huge amount of infrastructure has to be put into to develop it. And that map doesn't show it, but there's a large number of First Nation communities sprinkled through the northern half of Ontario. Is over 50% native people.
Where is Sudbury on this map? Oh, there.
Sudbury is down, yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So it's
We call ourselves Northern Ontario here.
Yeah. From Toronto to Kenora, it's about 1,500 kilometers just to. So from Toronto to the Ring of Fire is, I think, 1,200 kilometers or something like
I've been
that.
to Pickle Lake.
Pardon?
I've been north of Pickle Lake
Yeah.
with a truck. Yeah, Sterling Lake. There's a gold mine there.
So what, that's like 1,800 kilometers to the Ring of Fire from Toronto?
Pardon?
1,800 kilometers, you would say, from Toronto to the Ring of Fire?
Well, they say
1,200 kilometers to the Ring of, from Toronto to the Ring of Fire.
Pro fly.
500 from Thunder Bay.
That looks a lot more, but okay.
Yeah. Doug Ford has claimed that the minerals found in the Ring of Fire are worth $1 trillion. Um, I think he's somewhat exaggerating. And the $1 trillion is sort of, well, if we find a lot more metals and over a long year, so many years, and with all this inflation, it's a significant find, but it doesn't, it's not of that size, I don't think, anyway. But Ford and the mining monopolies, they see large profits in the development of the Ring of Fire and in the supplying of these war minerals into the U.S. War machine. So, what do we actually find in the Ring of Fire? The main one we find is chromite, or the ore for chromium. There's also nickel, copper, platinum group metals. There may be cobalt, it's reported, but not quantified. Some gold, zinc, and diamonds, and then maybe some traces of rare earth minerals. When we're looking at the value of the deposit, like the figures I have range from Doug Ford's $1 trillion down to 60 billion. Yeah, that chart is good. So there's some terminology here. Defined ore value and inferred ore. Defined ore says we found it, we drilled it, we know that there's so many tons at so much percent of nickel or whatever mineral they're trying to find. Inferred means, well, we think it's here, but it's probably here, but we don't know for sure. So the value of the Ring of Fire in terms of its defined ore body is worth about $90 billion, and including the inferred value, about $120 million, $1 billion. One of the things that perhaps we should look at is, are these minerals for war or for peace? When you read all the publicity from the mining companies and from Doug Ford and Minister of Mines and various people, they sort of make out that, well, this is for the one they talk about a lot is batteries for electric vehicles, and how developing all these minerals will foster the green energy economy. They don't want to talk about the use of these minerals, these metals in the war industry. Nickel is used in we gone through the uses of nickel. But chromium is an important war related material too, and we'll get into more showing that. So like the general thing is, like they say that the military applications of chromium are 1 to 3% of global production. First of all, I think that number is low, because they ignore all the stainless steel production. Not all stainless steel is for civilian use. Some of it is for military use. So you have to include that. Um, uh, anyway, then there's a chart here down at the bottom there, and then it lists the minerals that are found in the Ring of Fire and some comments about them. The main one is chromite. It's the very large deposit. It's the second largest one in the world. And there's no other source of chromite in the Americas. It's
Yet,
pardon?
yet.
Yeah, currently there's no other source currently in production. The U.S. obtains most of its chromium from South Africa, but also from India and Kazakhstan. And none of those countries are sort of close to the U.S. or in the geopolitically secure. So having a source of chromium in North America, in Northern Ontario, is very significant to the U.S. war preparations.
Probably doesn't help to like threaten to invade the source of chromium. So,
Yeah, the story of the plans of the U.S. to invade Canada and secure the supply of nickel on Sudbury in the 1930s. Yeah, maybe that might be
just saying.
somewhere in the back of the Pentagon in some cubby hole. There's probably a plan. I have some data here on the amount of the chromite. There's over 180 million tons of chromite ore. That's huge. The nickel and copper, there's not so much. Indicated resources of nickel is 138,000 tons. Inferred resources of nickel is 99,000 tons. That's only a year or two of production in Sudbury.
Mm.
I mean, it's not insignificant, but it's not.
It won't replace Sudbury.
No, not for nickel. At least not so far.
So you're saying that in the Ring of Fire, they have like 1 or 2 years worth of
Nickel.
nickel
Sudbury production rates.
at Sudbury production rate. So what are they doing there? What's the real reason they're going there?
Chromite.
Chromite. The
Oh,
chromite.
Smaller minerals, yeah, much.
The chromite is 90% of the value of the Ring of Fire metals is chromite. Nickel and copper, well, we got some, let's get it. But if it was just that nickel or copper, it would probably be 50 or 100 years before they get around to it. It's the chromite, huge deposit. U.S. is short of chromium, and to have a relatively safe and secure source would be very important. Okay, I've got some data here on the pricing and various things. Go down to page 6. That table, estimated value of minerals found in the Ring of Fire. If you look at this, like the nickel indicated is 2.1 billion, inferred 1.5 billion. So like this 3.6 billion, it's nothing to laugh about, but it's not huge. Copper is even less. But chromite, the indicated ore is 48 billion and the inferred ore is 35 billion. The value is in the chromium, not in the nickel, not in the copper, not in the platinum group metals, not in the gold. but in the chromium. Any questions so far? Discussion?
I mean, I do see like all the value of all these, but how much is it going to take for them to get it out of the ground and process it?
Pardon?
How much is it going to take for them to get it out of the ground and process it, right?
Well, if it's worth $90 million, it'll cost them quite a few $1 billion to get it out of the ground, but they'd be assuming that they're going to have quite a few $1 billion of profits.
Also-
that depends upon the costs and, you know.
Right. And they have to put in all that infrastructure. You know, just putting the stuff in place to allow the mining to occur is going to take a couple of years.
Yeah, and one of the things that's going to, in terms of how much profit the mining companies are going to be able to make, is what kind of regulations and restrictions we have. Like, you know, can they just build a road and don't worry about the muskeg and stuff like that?
Or
Well,
protesters or.
you know, are we going to throw the tailings in into the Attawapiskat River? Like it depends. Like that's why these Bill-5 and Bill-C5 are so
Terrible.
pardon?
Yes, right.
Terrible.
Yeah,
That's why they're so terrible.
yeah.
Yeah,
We need to be watchful.
Anyway, I got a section here and that says a detail, but it's a brief history of the development of the Ring of Fire. It was discovered in 2007 by a prospector called Richard Nemes. The name allegedly inspired by the Johnny Cash song. Anyway.
No.
Early excitement, some called it Ontario's answer to the oil sand. By 2012, there were over 30,000 claims and 35 exploration companies active.
Damon has a question. Go ahead, Damon.
Well, it's not really a question. It's more of a letting you guys know kind of thing. It's great hearing all of your voices again, and I've already learned so much from this meeting, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go early because I am gonna pick up a shift for tonight. So I just want to let you guys know about that. So yeah.
Thank you for coming, Damon.
Yeah,
And
no worries.
we're gonna have this meeting on our YouTube page.
All right, sounds good. All right, take care, everybody.
Have a good night. Thanks a lot.
Have a good night.
Yeah, yeah.
Good luck, Damon. Thanks for coming. Yeah, so there's a bit of in the corporate history. Cliffs Natural Resources, Cleveland Cliffs, it's a big iron ore company in the US, acquired these chromite deposits in 2012. Noront Resources had the Eagle's Nest, KWG, found a Big Daddy deposit. Anyway, there was a bunch of regulatory concerns. Starting in 2011, this is important, the Mattawa First Nations withdrew the support and called for a joint review of environmental assessment processes that included First Nations voices. And actually, there's a whole history here of some of the details, but that group of First Nations have been in dispute with going ahead as it is ever since.
So is this the Mattawa First Nations? Are they located in or around the
Yeah.
fire then? Okay.
It's not like Mattawa, Ontario, a little side of other side of North Bay. Don't get confused about that.
So they're going to be looking at getting displaced.
Pardon?
They're going to be looking at getting displaced.
Possibly, yeah, we're definitely affected by all the construction and the pollution and the uh, yeah, damage to the environment and the traditional hunting grounds and that.
Trucks and trains.
Um, 2016 to 17, there was an attempt to have renewed infrastructure planning. Ontario pledged support for a year-round access road linking Nabinanek and Webequie to Highway 599 near Pickle Lake.
Yeah, the Pickle Lake Road is year round.
Yeah, by 2022, the Webequie and Martin Falls First Nations, they sort of came on board. Like those two First Nations are for the development. The other seven are against it. Um, Important in terms of the ownership. A company called Wailu Metals of Australia um, um, has gotten control of the Ring of Fire. Um, yeah, and then where we are now is like after the elections in the spring, both Ontario and federal, Doug Ford and Mark Carney have gone gung ho on trying to speed up the development of the Ring of Fire.
Hold on. I just want to, for everyone watching, I just want everyone so they can put it in context. Give me a sec here. There it is. So come on. There.
Martin Falls is there. There's no roads there.
Yeah, there's Weberquie right in the middle.
So yeah, I just I just wanted to provide this map so people can sort of put names to where they are. So where is the Ring of Fire in regards to this?
It's about, well, you see Big Trout Lake and Webequie, sort of
Right here then?
north of Webequie and east of Big Trout. Like if you had the other map beside it, you'd be able to sort of see.
So let me bring up the other map then. So there's Pickle Lake. So you mean you're talking about this map?
Yeah,
Okay.
So Geraldton is right south.
So like
Long Lake.
so basically northeast of Pickle Lake is basically what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay. So Pickle Lake is right here. So like northeast, which is right around here.
Well, okay, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
yeah, and that other see down just Martin Falls, just near the red and the green, or the yellow and the green.
Right here.
That's the other Webequie and Martin Falls are the two First Nations who support the Ring of Fire. The other ones in the area oppose it. Okay, there's some information on well, okay, there was if you go back page 8.
Yeah.
Timeline, yeah. So this table here gives you the timeline for the development of the Ring of Fire in short form. Discovery, staking, emergence of these various companies, negotiations stalled, indigenous people challenged the process. and so on and so on and so on. I have some history, some information in the history of this Wyloo company. I don't know if it's important to spend a lot of time on the history. You can read it when it's available. Um, um,
Right there. If anyone wants to read it.
Pardon? Um, Basically, Wyloo was founded in 2015. It's a private company by an Australian billionaire named Andrew Forrest. They've been expanding in Australia and now claim to be the largest nickel company outside of Russia, but I'm a little bit dubious about that claim. They may be substantial, but I'm not sure they're bigger than Vale. Um, okay. So that is it, I think, for now on the introduction of what is the Ring of Fire. Um, Anybody have any questions or discussions about what it is and what's involved here?
Are we done this document?
Yeah, we're going to start on B. It's called chromium on your file.
This is Christine. I just wanted to share some information I've had from following it back in 2017 in terms of what the some of the indigenous communities were raising objection to. And so earlier somebody mentioned about roads. So the development of roads is very important for them in terms of how they would like them to take place. So that the mining companies, of course, just want to get in and out. And the communities want to connect with one another, east-west, for example, rather than north-south. So I just recall that being a big issue. So having a say and having consent, it's really happens on the ground in terms of what the needs are of the people there, right?
Yeah, one of the characteristics of mining in Northern Ontario is you have these towns, like probably Elliott Lake is the most notable one, booming for uranium mining in the 50s or 60s, and then they found some better ore in Saskatchewan or whatever. So Elliott Lake died. And Northern Ontario is actually littered with towns that had a lot of prosperity for 5 or 10 years, but then the ore ran out and nothing was built to maintain those people who lived there after the mines were gone.
And these towns and cities are, well, towns and whatever, cities or villages, whatever you want to call them, are left with less than nothing.
Yeah,
They're left with toxic waste.
yeah.
Spanish is going through that right now.
Are they?
Yeah, because forest industry just completely moved away from them and everything that's there has been abandoned. They all just walked away. You know, the water's polluted, they've got no trees, it's like they're suffering all the problems, but they've got none of the benefits.
And Northern Ontario is really the old sort of adage that it hews the wood and draws the water. Well, we dig our minerals as well.
Yeah.
We have a diversified economy. But yeah, Northern Ontario, like the decisions are made by these mining monopolies. Are you going to have a mine here? Yes or no? What conditions are you going to have? Are you going to sell it with, are you going to sell it for peaceful purposes or war purposes? All those Canadians aren't involved in those decisions.
Well, that's a bad habit we got caught up in with Hudson's Bay Company before we were even a nation. That was how things were being run, you know?
Well, the thing is, even if they make promises, right? They're,
Yeah, it's not like they've got a great record for anything like that.
yeah.
Anyway, let me go on with second section on critical minerals.
Hold on.
This is chapter 2 or B. No, this says on yours, it says chapter 20C chromium. Ignore all that. Just I have to fix that up.
We're good.
Okay, no, we're not that one. That's C. I want B, which is on yours says.
Just a moment.
Go back to the critical. No, the one
C.
chromium. The
Yeah,
one that says
C.
chromium is actually critical minerals.
No, it's critical minerals is this one. You want critical minerals, right?
Yeah.
It's this one.
All right.
There we go.
Okay. So there's two ways. First of all, what is a critical mineral? Why do they call certain minerals? Actually, they call most minerals critical.
Could be politics.
There's
involved.
over 45 critical minerals, and um, minerals are critical for two reasons. One is because they're highly important to the modern economy, modern industrial processes, especially in things like electronics. We use all these rare earths and things we never, gallium and rhodium and stuff we never hear of ordinarily. And this second reason that minerals and metals are critical is because they're important, essential in war production. Nickel is a critical mineral because of its importance in war production. So we'll have a list here. There's two ways we can look at how the importance of critical minerals. One is by quantity. Do we use a lot of them or a little, just a little bit? So needing a lot of it would be more critical than something we just need a little bit. And in this case here, iron and steel, that makes sense in terms of the quantity. Aluminum is the second place. Copper, third. Lead, and then nickel is in fifth place. It says the quantities are small, but nickel is in just about every weapon somewhere. And chromium is also listed down there in number 7. So if you're looking at these minerals and metals in terms of how much is used, the quantity used, this is the list. Can you up it a little bit? There's another list down below. Now, yeah, by mission critical importance, like this is like, okay, that's there to
It sounds military.
yeah. Or the tier 1 can't fight without and hard to replace. So this ranks these metals by how important they are for the military. And what is number 1? Nickel and cobalt, jet engine and hot section super alloys, also stainless and magnets. Like they like to say that stainless isn't military, but there's definitely some stainless in here. Then other metals are, titanium, tungsten, tantalum. They're maybe not the most rare or most, but they're not metals that you use a lot of. And chromium is down there again about seventh. Essential alloying for armor and high temperature steels. So when they talk about critical metals, nickel is really important, and chromium is quite important. Gotta finish editing this.
You want me to go to tier 2?
Pardon?
Do you want me to go to tier 2?
How's the time? Okay, we still got quite a bit of time. Can you go to, I don't have pages numbers on this one. NATO's 12 defense critical raw materials. It's 4 or 5 pages long.
NATO.
Yeah, that way. Okay, yeah, it's not that far along, right there. Now you may think because what we just said that nickel and chromium are really important, and NATO would think they're really important. They're not. Nickel and chromium are not on the on NATO's top 12 list. They had 3 criteria for whether they should be shortlisted under this top 12 or not. The strategic vulnerability. If the U.S. has a high reliance on non-NATO or non-allied suppliers, especially from countries like China or Russia, that's a problem for the U.S. and NATO. A lack of substitution. Are there other metals that you can use that are just about as good or cheaper or whatever? And there's low recycling or your reuse of materials that are already in the economy, or it takes a long time to develop an alternative supply. So on those 3 criteria, nickel and chromium don't make it. They don't make it because while they're absolutely vital to defense, stainless steels, armor plate, turbine super alloys, plating, corrosion resistance, etc., they're not on NATO's top 12 for several reasons. A diversified allied supply base. Both are mined and supplied in significant quantities within NATO. Canada, Norway, Finland, France, and Australia all produce high purity class 1 nickel. Right now, the U.S. has access through chromium for South Africa and Turkey, etc. Both can be stockpiled easily. And both have a fairly good overlap with civilian industries. Like while in the 1930s and 40s, nickel was 80 or 90% military use. It's much less than that today. So if the military needs more nickel or more chromium, they can put pressure on the civilian users to find substitutes. Anyway, I think that's enough to start for like critical minerals. Um, um, I do people understand why critical minerals are considered critical, or it's uh, there's various ways, various levels of talking about how important they are. We saw that, like, nickel, for example, was the most important in terms of what was the terminology they used? It's in importance, and it's
Mission,
a bit,
Mission critical.
yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, oh, it's too bad Andrian didn't come. Bit surprised. She may have had something to do with work that took this phone call may have. Anyway, um, let's move on to the third chapter on chromium. A lot of this needs a lot more editing to make it useful. But sort of getting the beginning of the skeleton, the structure, I need to fill in. Okay. So chromium is a chemical element. Its symbol is Cr. Atomic number is 24. It's a transmission metal, and it's steely, gray, lustrous, and hard. Its value is that it has a high corrosion resistance and hardness. A major development in steel production around 1920 with the discovery that steel could be made highly resistant to corrosion and discoloration by adding metallic chromium to form stainless steel, chromium and nickel. The initial stainless steel was 18% chromium, 8% nickel. Stainless steel and chrome plating comprise 85% of the commercial use. And the other 15% is the super alloys and that have military applications. Chromium is produced from chromite ore to produce ferrochromium, which is an iron chromium alloy. It's then used to produce alloys such as stainless steel. Pure chromium metal is produced by a different process, roaching and leaching of chromite to separate it from the iron, followed by reduction with carbon and then aluminum. It might be interesting to find out exactly what the plan is for that chromium refinery that they were talking about in Sault Ste. Marie. To be classified as a stainless steel, the steel must contain at least 10.5% chromium by weight. Chromium forms a passive oxide layer on the surface, which prevents further oxidation, which is what makes stainless steel stainless.
Just a sec. So there it is.
Anyway, well, and it's finding it. So just to sort of summarize, chromium is a factor in stainless steel properties. 1, corrosion resistance. 2, hardness. 3, high temperature resistance. And 4, tensile strength. And those are characteristics that are fairly similar to the characteristics of nickel. So they
this is a description of the like the mineral. So the one that you were giving, so like it's steely gray, it's so on and so forth.
Hard.
Yeah. So that's naturally occurring.
And so is there a major, I don't know, you know, this is something that we'd be privy to in the science of it, but is there like a major difference in getting the chromium from the ore compared to say nickel, and what a process that is to remove it? Like
It's very dirty.
Yeah,
It's a dirty one, yeah.
they're different processes.
Kept it on constant. They wanted to do it in constant
But they said because of the
drinking water and everything.
oiling, or so,
Whereas Sault Ste. Marie has Great Lake water,
right?
bigger stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
can you
not
go
really
back
well.
to the one on chromium?
Sure.
And we find military and aerospace applications of chromium. Just a bit below there. Bit below there. There we are. Military and aerospace applications of chromium.
Low alloy steel. So they like it because you don't.
Yeah, can
need
you
a
get rid
lot.
of that blue as you can't read it? Yeah. Anyway, chromium is critical in military and aerospace applications due to its unique properties when alloyed with steel and other metals. Its key advantages, corrosion resistance, high temperature strength, and hardness, make it indispensable in environments where performance, durability, and survivability are non-negotiable. Below is a detailed breakdown of chromium's role in these sectors. So, armor and structural steel in tanks, armored vehicle hulls and turrets, personnel carriers, chromium enhanced tensile strength and toughness, ballistic resistance, corrosion resistance. Anyway, I'm not going to go all these details, but besides, armor and structural steel, chromium also is used in gun barrels and firearms, missile and rocket components, and naval shipbuilding. In the aerospace applications, jet engine alloys, super alloys, it's combined with nickel and cobalt to form these super alloys used in turbine blades, combustion chambers, and afterburner components. Wherever it's hot, they like nickel and chromium. Aircraft structures, landing gear, flaps and actuators, fasteners, and fuselage components.
Again, a lot like nickel.
Yeah, protective coatings, chromium plating is used for hydraulic cylinder rods, flap tracks, and door mechanisms. Spacecraft used for rocket engines, heat shields, and cryogenic tank liners. Um, anyway, you can see that there's quite a large number of weapon systems that chromium is used into, just like maybe not quite as many as nickel, but a large number. Anyway, here it says strategic important. Chromium is listed as a critical mineral by the US, Canada, and the EU due to one, military reliance, and two, supply vulnerability, not mined in the US. Chromium's absence would impair missile and aircraft engine production, naval shipbuilding, and armor grade steel manufacturing. I got some duplication here. Okay, here's some an interesting section here. how the Ring of Fire could affect the U.S. chromium supply. So one, the Ring of Fire is one of the largest known untapped chromite reserves in the world, with up to 200 million tons.
Where are we?
Page 8.
There.
How the Ring of Fire could affect U.S. I think it's further along.
Give me a moment here. There.
Yeah, okay. Just yeah, that's good. Um, so it's probably the largest on tapped chromite reserve in the world. Um, Potential benefits of the U.S. Canadian chromite is easier and more secure to transport to the U.S. than African or Central Asian supply. That's one thing. Canada is a DFARS qualifying country. We talked about DFARS last time, defense, I forget what it is, but it has to be used in U.S. military production. It has to come from the U.S. or a friendly country like Canada. Um,
Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation Supplement.
yeah,
Federal.
yeah. If it's since it's DFAR, it can be used in U.S. military production. And so if a ferrochrome or chromium metal refining is developed in Canada, i.e. in Sault Ste. Marie, the U.S. could establish a North American supply chain and could support U.S.-Canada integrated defense supply chain under NORAD and the Defense Production Sharing Agreement. So again, the fact that chromium is found in large quantities a few hundred miles from the industrial heartland of the U.S. is significant. And I'm trying to get chromium from Kazakhstan. It's anyway.
It's incredible how we have all these minerals and we have all this leverage, and yet we're not willing to use that leverage to strong arm the US.
Yeah, no, like Canada
I don't understand.
has always well, we saw how submarine nickel was developed by U.S. companies. The Canadian Copper Company, which besides its name is U.S., then International Nickel and Falconbridge and Valley and Glencore. Right from the very beginning, the foreign mining monopolies have seized control of the natural resources of Sudbury and Northern Ontario, and they just do with it what they want, when they want, and how they want. And unless Canadians fight, um, how long was it? Did the Sudburyans fight to have the superstat built when in the 60s? John Foster Dulles didn't care. He's sitting in his New York penthouse. He doesn't have to breathe that small sulfur, and he just comes here for a few hours and
Hold his breath.
yeah.
Well, no, I mean, at the minimum, right? We could say no more, Canadian nickel, right? Unless you transfer the technology to make all these alloys. How simple is it?
Yeah, I don't think that technology is particularly hard to come by.
I just
Yeah.
it's mind-boggling.
No, it's right from the beginning, mining in Canada and Northern Ontario has been a function of the foreign mining monopolies, the global, And like, there may have been certain Canadian companies like Canadian Pacific had mining. Trail BC was big lead zinc. Then they had several mining operations across Canada 50 years ago, but they don't know. They don't now. There's not really any. There's not a significant Canadian producer. The last big chance was Inco and Falconbridge, but in the time they were taken over by Vale and Glencore, could have merged, established a Canadian-based diversified mining conglomerate, but they didn't. They were just interested, okay, give us a few bucks, you can have it, and we're good. Um, yeah, is that good, Anand?
What? The vote?
For mining monopolies.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, here is some information on the use of proportion of chromium production used in military purposes. It says it's harder to pin down precisely because chromium is overwhelmingly a civilian industrial metal. Okay, 85% of global chromium consumption is for stainless steel. 10 to 15% goes to alloys, steel, super alloys, and specialty applications. And they say only a fraction of this 10 to 15% is defense related. I think the number is a bit low, but we'll accept them.
So it's not like lithium for batteries. So it's not big on batteries. Lithium is big.
Chromium, it doesn't seem to be a battery. The growth in nickel is largely in batteries. But
Lithium.
the batteries don't seem to be that important for chromium. Okay, and I have some information, page 12.
Where? What is it?
Highlights by company, right there. There's some information here on the companies that use chromium. And if I just read the names of the companies, you may recognize some of them. North American Stainless, Outokumpu Stainless, ATI Specialty Materials, Carpenter Technology, Haynes International, Special Metals, and American Chrome and Chemicals. Do you recognize several of those names?
It's the usual list of suspects coming up.
Pardon?
The usual list of suspects coming up.
Yeah, the same companies that are heavily involved in nickel alloy production are also heavily involved in chromium because, well, nickel and chromium and cobalt, they all.
Right. So I imagine what's going to happen here then is what's happening with nickel is they'll be shipping it to a place like Sault Ste. Marie for processing it into workable products that are then shipped to the US who turn them into these specialized products.
These companies I just listed are the ones who are going to be buying.
Right.
Instead of getting it
Right.
from Kazakhstan, well, they might get it from
Right.
Turkey.
So it fits into that same four-step process.
Yeah,
And
essentially.
And then they're going to be selling it back to us at a
Oh,
300%
yeah.
markup.
Oh, yeah. That's the Canadian way.
Viewers of wood, drawers of water.
And buyers of window panes and metal products.
Anyway, I have some information there on what those seminary companies do. what kind of alloys they make. Some of they have some interesting. Um, they have military versus civilian. This is for ATI specialty materials. Aerospace and defense, 62 to 65% of sales in 2024, 2025. Carpenter technology, 57% of sales.
These are all military.
Yeah, special metals, significant aerospace defense exposure, but there are no figures. So these companies are very much involved in the I hate that word defense, in the military or war.
The Ministry of War.
Even Donald Trump has a sense to change the name from the Department of Defense, which is always a misnomer, to the Department of War, which I don't like, but it's what it is.
Department of War in Chicago.
Yeah. Anyway, and then there's some information there on which of those companies are DFARS and ITAR compliant, again, to find out whether they're military or not. And most of them are. North American Stainlight, yes. Utucovo, yes. ATI, yes. Carpenter Technology, yes. Haynes International, yes. Special Metals, yes. American Chrome and Chemicals, yes. Anyway, those are all. There's some more detail on there exactly how it operates. Any questions so far? Discussion. Okay.
So right now, the biggest thing is Canada's role. Everything else is pretty much set up for this to go. As far as the Ring of Fire goes, the big issue is, can Canada get to those metals and get them to Sault Ste. Marie so that they can get on with what they've been doing for a long time now.
Yeah. I have some information on world chromite production by country, 2023. South Africa, 18 million tons, 44% of world total. Kazakhstan, 6 million, Turkey, 6 million, India, 4.2 million, Finland, 2 million, other countries combined, 5.2 million.
And that's ore production.
What?
And that's the ore itself.
That's the ore. Leading producers by company. Right there. I don't know if you know most of these. Interesting that Glencore is a major producer of ferrochrome in South Africa. The rest of the companies don't really hit a bell with me. Outokumpu in Finland. Yeah. Major chromium consuming countries. China, number one consumer, takes approximately 60% of global chromium as ferrochrome. Used in the stainless steel industry, China produces 55% of the world's stainless. They import ore from South Africa and ferrochrome from Kazakhstan, South Africa, and Turkey. Anyway, the European Union, 15 to 20% of demand. India, 2 to 3 metric megatons chromite equivalent a year. The US, 0.6 megatons of chromium per year. And Japan and South Korea. Anyway, I got information on the major companies or consuming companies, and we've heard them names before. Yeah, I need to edit this chapter badly. It's about 52 pages now, and it needs to be about 10.
You know, I've noticed in India, when we're reading about and following India for the last little while, two of the names that keep coming up in all of these things are Tata and Jindal.
Yeah.
You know, there are two big companies too that are going
Yeah,
to.
Tata is
Had a smaller.
the Tata and the Berbers. I think it is.
Yeah.
They're close to the largest or the largest industrial.
Oh yeah, they're like the
Uh,
Hyundai of India.
Pardon?
They're like the Hyundai of India. They're
Yeah.
involved in
I haven't heard of Jindal, but
same kind of thing, but mainly mining, but
yeah.
deeply involved in it. Well,
Okay.
India's just becoming a superpower, you know, as we talk.
A lot of this has to is he the duplicate?
The boring stuff.
Feed it into artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, or, artificial intelligence. Yeah, a lot of this is
We used to call that
I need to I need to sit down for half an hour and yeah, a lot of this is duplicated badly. Anyway, that's enough information, I think, on the chromium metal as to why it's important. And I think you see, while it may not be the most important war material, it is a significant war material which lack of in a medium term or longer war would be really a problem for the U.S. having to get it from Kazakhstan and South Africa. The those supply routes may be threatened. Okay, it is 22 minutes after 7. Um, do we want to start talking about the two Bill-5s? At least I don't think we'll have time to talk about all the different aspects, but go through the overview of what it is for 15, 20 minutes and then okay, can you cut to chapter D, 20T, the two Bill-5s? Actually, I had some on chapter 1 there that need to be moved over.
That's Ontario or just
Yeah, that's good. I'm looking at something else, but just stay there. So the key thing that is, there's a whole bunch of nasty things about B5, but the key thing or the key one is in these, it wants to create these special economic zones. Um, the Ontario government could, the cabinet could declare any given project or area of Ontario to be a special economic zone if there was a project that the government felt was important.
Kind of like a notwithstanding clause.
Yeah, yeah.
Environmental.
The I forgot what I was going to say. What did I say? Okay, special economic zones. They give the government the right. Oh, the one that they've talked the most about creating is the Ring of Fire. Ford says that they're going to make an announcement in September. Well, today's September 11th, so you got about 20 days. The other one they're talking about is the 401
Oh, yeah.
tunneling process
If there's anything
in
stupid.
Toronto. Anyway, so what does the special economic zones, can they do? One, they can accelerate project approvals, environmental assessments, land use permissions, indigenous consultation process
Where are we? Sorry,
could be streamlined or bypassed.
Dave, where are we?
Page 10.
I don't have a page 10. Right. This is the two Bill-5s.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm back on chapter 1. Forget, just leave that for a second. That I'm flipping back and forwards here to get like, yeah, just bear with me for a minute. Anyway, so you can if you don't have these environmental assessments, or if you have a quick one, um, various safeguards may be ignored, or and we could have dangers of environmental damage, social conflict, various other aspects. Reduce regulatory oversight. Regulations concerning water protection, wildlife, heritage sites, or public consultations might be suspended within zones. This could undermine environmental protections and indigenous rights, triggering opposition from communities and advocacy groups. And there's a whole list, I don't have it here, of different bills that Bill-5 modifies or gives permission for the cabinet to modify if they so determine. Investor appeal. Lowered regulatory burdens could make mining projects more financially attractive to developers. 4, strain
That's
on
the point, actually.
pardon?
So I think that is really the point, actually.
Yeah, another factor would be a strain on indigenous relations. So this First Nations demanded full participation, consent, and protection. Um, the law that nullifies standard rights or processes may severely harm trust, spark moratorium, or lead to litigation involving duty to consult obligations under Canadian law. What it seems that both the Ontario government and federal government want to do is they want to have consultation, quote unquote, on their terms, which is they'll call a few chiefs into a meeting and fly them with food and drink, and say what a good project this is, and here's a few $1,000 for whatever if you go along with it. But they don't want to. They think they can just consult in their way, not listening to the native people, um, um, but without agreeing really to the native people having the right to consent. That is not just the government comes and says, we want to do this, and the native people both just jump up and down and say, yay. They have to say, well, we like this or we don't like this, and their voice has to be taken seriously. It can't just be a sort of a token formality. Yeah.
It's who gets to set the terms of reference.
Pardon?
It's who gets to set the terms of reference.
Yeah. And there's in these bills, there's a fear that there's sort of a steamroller.
I was about to use this exact thing that
Bulldozer.
Bulldozer. That'll do. Anyway, a little bit more information about Bill 5. The Protect Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act of 2005.
Sounds like a Ford.
It was introduced on April 17th and passed on June 4th, like 6 weeks. It's an omnibus bill comprising 10 schedules, amending or replacing multiple provincial statutes and introducing new legislation. One, the Special Economic Zones Act. That's one I've been discussing with. Gives cabinet the power to designate these special economic zones, and projects within these zones can be exempt from provincial law, regulations, and municipal bylaws.
Are you still on, are you on this now, or are you still there?
No, I'm still.
Chapter 1.
The Species Conservation Act. This part has to go in the other chapter. It's a work in progress. The Species Conservation Act repeals the Endangered Species Act of 2007 and replaces it with a weaker framework. Continues somebody's role, but restricts protection to smaller areas. Example, openly carving sites for caribou. Introduces, anyway.
Turtles are on their own.
It streamlines mining approvals, Schedule 5. Cuts the timeline from 4 years to 2 years. The environmental reform, Schedules 3 and 4, amends the Environmental Assessment Act and the Environmental Protection Act to trim regulatory burdens, particularly for critical infrastructure and mining projects. Heritage and Archaeology, Schedule 7, to update the Ontario Heritage Act, giving cabinet authority to bypass archaeological and heritage requirements for infrastructure.
Cemeteries.
And also changes the Electricity Act, the Ontario Energy Board Act, and the Rebuilding Ontario Place Act.
That means tearing things down.
That's down in Toronto too.
They say rebuilding, we say digging holes,
But
It's all semantic.
Yes.
that's a fairly extensive list of existing legislation that had changed to make it easier for the Ring of Fire or whatever industrial project
Any other
to.
things they come up with,
Pardon?
and any other things they come up with.
Yeah, and I hate to say this, but the cabinet could declare the whole of the province as special economic zone or group of zones, and could declare that almost all legislation that protects people is null and void. I had some information later on onto what legislation is still available, like the Ontario Human Rights Code is still functioning. It's not effective.
Not actually allowed to kill anybody directly while they do this.
Pardon?
They're not allowed to kill anybody directly while they do this. Human rights.
Still have
code.
human rights to live.
Yeah, they're not actually allowed.
Yeah, that's still gone, and the criminal code and that is still there. But a lot of laws and regulations can be subject to this. By my thinking, they could come in and declare that, well, we're in trouble. Minimum wage is only going to be $10 for the next 3 years to get us through this.
This is Ford. It's exactly the kind of.
Whether they're going to do all those things, I don't know. But there's the door has been opened that the cabinet do a lot of things by just passing a regulation without having to go through the whole
Right.
legislature process.
Are there any special economic zones in Ontario now?
Pardon?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Sorry, what was the question?
My question was, are there any special economic zones
Not
in
yet.
Ontario?
Not yet.
now?
Unless you include Toronto as being its own.
What about,
Not in terms of this act.
what about
But
special?
the first one will be, they said will be declared by the end of September.
Yeah.
What about special economic zones in Canada?
Yeah, anybody else doing that?
I don't know what the federal government calls it. They have their own terminology, but they gave approval for these 5 big projects
Right.
today. And the one that affects us is these nuclear modular reactors in Northern Ontario.
Right.
And as well, they're going to be shipping 2 truckloads of nuclear waste through Sudbury every day for 50 years.
Oh, they decided where it's going?
Pardon?
Deborah.
To Ignis.
Oh, it's Ignis.
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 They're back to that.
It's 1,500 kilometers. It's going to ship 2 trucks every day.
Well,
Oh, this won't end.
I don't know whether it's going to go through North Bay or Sudbury. I think Sudbury.
either way, it's one of those things that would be easy to get in the way of
Yeah.
somehow.
Okay. Okay, rationale and government intent. And this might be not particularly interesting, but maybe we should pay attention to why the government is doing what it does. The government frames Bill-5 as part of an economic unleashing strategy to safeguard Ontario's government economy from global pressures by speeding up project approvals and strengthening critical infrastructure and mineral supply chains. The preamble emphasizes protecting energy supply, reducing foreign participation in the energy sector, and positioning Ontario as a top G7 investment decision. Well, this is kind of gobbledygook. They're going to reduce foreign participation, but they're going to position Ontario as a top G7 investment destination for the extraction of raw materials. Okay.
This is very interesting. It's very interesting. It actually might help us lay out a ground plan for how to protest these things and direct them to not just nickel being used for genocide, but for instance, what company is going to be providing the bulldozers? Because if it's CAT, they're not coming to Canada. You know, they're the ones who are burying children in Gaza right now.
Norway divested from that.
Pardon me?
Norway.
The Norwegian
Go to Caterpillar.
Yeah.
investment fund, which is like $2 trillion.
Yeah.
They divested from Caterpillar.
And Caterpillar's already fucked us around. They a couple of years ago, I thought Canada had enough of them. They took over a plant in southern Ontario. I think it was getting into the company was running it before, but they took it over, saying that they were going to maintain Canadian jobs, it was going to be good quality, da da da. In the middle of the night, they stripped the entire plant of all of its heavy machinery, loaded it onto trains, and in the morning they were left with a concrete floor with bolts sticking up and nothing else. And they abandoned Canada, completely broke the law, paid the fines. And I would just look, well, for Canada, it's like fuck Caterpillar. Why would we ever do business with them again? Like that was grossly underhanded. Of course, the whole town was expecting, way we're saved. You know, and then
Okay.
the building.
It's 20 to 8 now, so let's spend 5 minutes and sort of finish off. Chapter, you're right here. Okay. Go down to the table at the bottom of that page. Just to sum up, where are we with these SECs?
Hmm.
Has Bill 5 become law? Yes, it has, June 5th. Is the Special Economic Zones Act in force? Yes, it is. Have any special economic zones be designated? Not yet. Soon, but not yet. September 25. And what is the possible first special economic zone region? The Ring of Fire is what they're talking about. So what comes next? One, the development of regulations. The province must release the regulations defining how areas become special economic zones. What qualifies as a trusted proponent? I think that's the company that proposing these projects. Once the regulations are in place, the government may formally designate one or more special economic zones. And consultation, especially for areas like the Ring of Fire, meaningful consultation with indigenous communities and other stakeholders will be necessary, both for legal compliance and for navigating political and social concerns. I'm not going to hold my breath about the willingness of the federal and Ontario government to engage in meaningful negotiations. They're going to be trying to get that over with as a necessary impediment.
A legal requirement that met.
Yeah. And once these special economic zones are created, the permitting path will be shortened or streamlined. The sequencing of approvals could be reordered or exempted by regulation. Expect accelerated timelines for enabling infrastructure and early stage mine development. Yes, the cabinet will have discretion to circumscribe certain municipal controls, a zoning, heritage planning inside a special economic zone, depending on final regulations. Anyway, that is probably a good place to stop in terms of we've introduced we've introduced the discussion or started the discussion on the Ring of Fire. We looked at what the Ring of Fire is. We looked at a little bit of critical minerals and how that works out. Spent a fair bit of time in chromium and the major outlines of these Bill 5 and these special economic zones. Next time we can go ahead and look at democratic rights as to how decisions have been made, indigenous rights, and the environment, and I had labor rights too. I think I forgot to print that out. That doesn't matter. So Andrea and Shani I was hoping that she was coming here today. She did say she had a phone call she works for CUPE, a phone call she had to attend to at 6:30. And I hope it's something came up and she hasn't decided to forgo us. because,
with the colleges, eh?
pardon?
What's going on with the college? Right?
Oh, yeah, this port staff is on strike. I gotta go up there tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, 10,000 port staff are on strike.
So she's.
Okay,
Um,
when do you wanna go?
Probably in the morning because I gotta go to the physiotherapist at 10 o'clock, so.
Right.
But anyway, back to where we are. I think I think you have a pretty good introduction as to like what is Bill 5 all about. And we can go into more detail into those various aspects next month. And are people still on
Yeah.
Christine.
Christine and Breck? Do either of you have any comments or questions or anything you want to say?
Well, you did mention Bill C5, and I think you can think that what's going on in Ontario is also going on federal in terms of the projects, in terms of economic zones. The whole way you describe the consultation, we have in my area, we have a over the horizon radar from NORAD being placed in two places in Ontario, one in my neighborhood. And they're doing consultations. I don't know if you know what these are, but they're surveillance systems from the Minister of Defense for NORAD, and they provide early warning radar coverage. And so just in terms of how these consultations work, because they're expropriating agriculture, they're violating, environmental marshes, and they've already purchased the land, expropriating people out of their homes. Yeah, all that gets done, and then they do a consultation, right? So they just started the consultations, and it's just what's the word for it? There's no substance to it because you have no power. So it's just to bring, 150 people in the community together to say this is the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's happening with Bill 5 is it's trickling down to municipalities who some councils are deciding that they can just do whatever economically because we're on that throughway of just, because it's the economy, we can do it. And so in some of the municipalities where I live, there's big fights going on, and it stems from Bill 5, and it's trickled down to municipalities. So I think this has been very good to understand the Ring of Fire, because I think everybody really doesn't know all the the minerals that are there and the importance of them. And then kind of like sifting through and finding out it is for military and for war. So if you think about all the rules and regulations that we've developed for the environment and labor, and for them to be able to just say, well, because it's a special economic zone, we're just gonna not pay attention to those rules and regulations and acts. So yeah, thanks. This has been very helpful.
Well, thank you, Christine.
What about you, Breck? Do you have any comments?
No comments. Thanks for the session. I've just sort of been trying to do some last minute things before I go away for the weekend there, so I'm a little distracted, but no, it was very informative, and I don't have any questions about it really.
Basically, with implementing these special economic zones, right? They've basically said, if we can do it, you can do it too. So that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Is that you're going to get special economic zones where it's going to be, they're going to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, the federal government calls it major projects. special economic, they're the same thing essentially. They're playing around with the law in different jurisdictions to enable the development of these big projects with limited restrictions from the mass of the people.
And this is just so everyone knows, right? I mean, obviously everyone knows, but this is a liberal government doing this, right? So the fact of the matter is, right, if this was Pierre Poilievre, right, or whatever the hell his name is, doing this, you know, would there be, as little backlash as there is that's like now, right? You know,
Carney benefits from good PR, basically, yeah.
Carney is probably better at getting it implemented than Poilievre would have been. Not that Carney is better or anything like that. He's a more effective representative of the board. One thing I want to thank everybody for coming up. People are leaving. One thing I just want to say about Bill C-5, the federal government bill, we didn't really talk about that. In terms of labor legislation, the one thing it does is it makes you can get pass all your licenses and that in a certain province and they're good in any other province. So like it will lower the standards. You'll be able to go get certified in Nunavut or something, and it'll be good for all of Canada, whereas before it was just good in Nunavut. Anyway, thanks everybody for coming out, and the library is looking at they're going to kick it out pretty soon.
The library.
The next session is Thursday, October the 16th.
Oh my God, we're hitting October.
Oh yeah, in the middle of October too. I was late in booking a room in the first 2 weeks went. So we will just September 16th is 5 weeks from now. And we'll talk about democratic rights, labor rights, indigenous rights, and the environment. And if anybody wants to help doing the research and collecting, get in touch with me and we'll work something out. All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much for everyone that's on Zoom.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks to Dave.
You too.
Oh, let's put these in.